On today's episode of The Lucid Lens, the Pentagon's UFO report is not getting any support publicly from the ODNI office, which is the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. That's kind of a big deal. Also, the European Parliament, again, looking to make some regulation over there. There is a motion for a resolution on updating European regulation on UAP reporting. This goes for pilots, and this is a huge deal. That same European Parliament member who proposed that legislation is hosting an online event on the need for a scientific assessment and reporting of UAPs in the European Parliament. There's a disclosure rally in New York City to support Senator Chuck Schumer. This is amazing. Also, Graham Messick, a producer on 60 Minutes, is showing interest in the questioning of this recent report from the Pentagon. Is another 60 Minutes special in the works? That would be amazing. I can smell the disclosure in the air. Man, is this the best timeline or what?
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
Intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
Greetings, beautiful people, you marvelous citizens of this planet Earth, and welcome to The Lucid Lens. I am just a normal guy talking about some extraordinary things that, for the most part, are going over people's heads. Pun intended. In the case you're wondering, I'm talking about UAPs, or UFOs. The government wants you to call them UAPs now. It makes it easier to talk about. There's less stigma attached to it. Although it works so well, like Stephen Bassett said, people are going back to UFOs now. We'll call them UFOs, and in case you're still catching up, the government admitted they were real back in 2021. That's right, UFOs are real, just like the chances of a dinosaur escaping capture and attacking someone in the next Jurassic Park movie. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what you're hearing, consider subscribing. It's good for your health. Good for my self-esteem. But seriously, subscribe, you like it, click the little thumbs up, thumbs down, that's fine. That's fine too. Whatever your opinion is, share it down below. What do you think of these stories? Do you think you're going to go to the rally in New York? That's pretty awesome. The European Parliament's making some progress over there. Yeah, let me know. All right, with that down, let's get into our first story. We are looking again at the European Parliament, where a member from Portugal, Francisco Guerreiro, has submitted a motion for a resolution. Now, this is a motion for a resolution on updating the European regulation on the reporting, analysis, and follow-up of occurrences in civil aviation to include UAP reporting. Now, we're talking about, they're calling out it's a stigmatized subject, which often inhibits methodical data collection and analysis, right? If people are afraid to talk about this, it's going to be hard to capture how often this is actually occurring. And, you know, based on testimony of our Navy pilots in the US, it's happening almost every day. They're seeing these objects all over the place. But people are too afraid to talk about it. There's still too much of a stigma that we can't capture data and can't get like a really good idea of what all's out there. So this is really just making it, you know, safe for civilian pilots and, you know, aviation personnel to report UAP sightings. And like I mentioned before, this is very similar to the Safe Aerospace for Americans Act that's right now been proposed earlier this year in the U.S. And it's going to just allow them, you know, to have a mechanism for consistent, transparent, stigma-free reporting and data analysis regarding UAPs in European airspace, including where such occurrences don't pose any apparent immediate safety risk. So even if it's not like, you know, going to be a near miss, still report it. It's still data. The more we can figure out, you know, what is out there, what types of things are out there, where they are, maybe we can figure out a way to stay out of their way and figure out what the hell they are. That would be nice. Staying in the European Parliament, Francisco is also hosting an event Wednesday, March 20th on the need for a scientific assessment and reporting of UAP in the European Union. In attendance, notably, is former Navy pilot and executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace, Ryan Graves, as well as theoretical physicist at Stockholm University, and member of the Sol Foundation, Dr. Beatrice Villarroel. There's a few other names I'm not quite familiar with, but includes members from the UAP Czech and the UAP Coalition, as well as expert testimony from a civilian aviation pilot. I mean, this is absolutely incredible to see, the amount of progress, you know, in Europe following, you know, the U.S. I mean, really think about it. It's been 7 years of slow build up to this, where all these countries and you know, I mean, European Union, that's a lot of countries, right? They're moving forward and trying to get regulation out there and talk about this openly, right? The stigma needs to drop. People need to be able to talk about this stuff, regardless of what it is. You see weird shit in the sky, that could be a safety concern, right? We don't want to have flight risk out there, all right? I'm a little nervous flying. I mean, just thinking about this stuff. I mean, Boeing, I'm nervous about that. Maybe I should cut that part out. Anyway, so it's incredible to see such openness to this subject over in Europe. There's also going to be a debate and a Q&A session, I believe. It'll be available to the public to watch, and I'll include a link to Francisco's tweet in the description down below. You can watch it via WebEx, which, if you're not familiar with, it's another video meeting streaming platform. Yeah, going to be curious to see what's said there. More open discussion is great. More forums for this topic. It's going to just push us further and further towards disclosure. All right, up next is another big event, which takes place on Thursday, March 21st. The first disclosure rally in New York City to thank Senator Chuck Schumer. I mean, this is awesome. This is brought to us by the Citizens for Disclosure Now and the New Paradigm Institute. I read there's going to be media coverage, which is fantastic, because I still can't believe that there was practically no coverage about the UAP Disclosure Act from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with rounds, as well as their bipartisan soliloquy on the Senate floor. I mean, it's crazy. They proclaimed they've seen evidence that the government knows more about UAP, and they're not telling the American people or Congress. And we get crickets from the media. That's ridiculous. When are people going to wake up to this? Like, it's going to be too late by the time legacy media catches on. I mean, they're going to be so far behind. So if you're in the New York area, I think it's from like 12 to 2, I believe. Go check it out. Go support Schumer. I mean, yeah, let our Congress people know that we appreciate what they're doing to forward disclosure. I mean, it really means a lot to them. Getting loud and passionate, it's what lets the government know what issues we care about. And it's, you know, I mean, unfortunately, it's these members, it's their ticket to stay in office. If they're fighting for the issues that we are loud and we care about, then they're going to take notice and they're going to, you know, look into it. So if you can get out there, support Schumer, do it. That's amazing. All right. With that down, our main topic today comes from an article in the Liberation Times reporting. Let me pull this up here. That the top intelligence office in the country, ODNI, or the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, is unable to publicly support the Pentagon's UFO report, despite having oversight over the very office that wrote the report. Sources indicate that ODNI is hesitant to publicly support the report, fearing it might compromise an investigation conducted by the Intelligence Community Inspector General, aka David Grusch's whistleblower complaints about illegal UAP programs and reverse engineering of non-human technology. All right, I'm going to give a quick lesson in political science explaining the structure of these agencies and the levels of classification that they actually have, which kind of will explain a lot of things, actually. So AARO reports to both the ODNI as well as the Deputy Secretary of Defense, who then reports to the Secretary of Defense and then, of course, up to the President. ODNI reports directly to the President. It's a cabinet-level position with considerably more power than AARO. AARO only has Title 10 clearance, whereas the ODNI has Title 50. So Title 10 primarily deals with the armed forces and provides security clearance with access to classified information within the Department of Defense concerning mostly the organization and administration of the military. Title 50, however, is for war and national defense, which is way beyond the scope of traditional military operations covered in Title 10. So this involves access to sensitive intelligence information pertaining to national security. All right. So in other words, AARO with its Title 10 clearance does not have the clearance to look at Title 50 national security issues. You know who does have Title 50 clearance? the National Reconnaissance Office, which is where David Grusch was working when he had his investigation, which is why he was able to actually find these programs, because he had the clearance. AARO did not. So this report is where AARO claims to have access to everything they would need is categorically false based on the established clearance guidelines. So they may very well have gone to each branch of the military, all the various intelligence agencies, and defense contractors, and asked them what they knew about UFOs, but they weren't clear to actually hear and receive the information, unlike David Grusch. And this could very well explain the discrepancies between the two separate government investigations into UFOs. So I think that pretty much puts a pin in this. Like, I think if Congress does indeed want to have this office, like AARO, make headway, they're going to have to get it Title 50 clearance. Maybe switch the reporting structure a little bit. But even then, they will need to know and actually be told anything. I mean, the reality is we need another UAP amendment to pass with subpoena power and the executive authority to actually, drag these hostile witnesses in and go in with the authority to, take this information, right? They need the proper clearance. We need the board. We need that 10-person panel. I guess that's 9-person plus a head of the board. We need that back. Eminent domain, I feel like the lawyers can hammer out the details on that because, I don't know if that was the big thing, but I think it really was the subpoena power that they were afraid of because they didn't want to be dragged in. But either way, I think a massive public hearing with a lineup of like 10 David Grusches with firsthand witnesses is what's going to be needed next to, compel Congress to make this next big push. But I want to know what you guys think. Did AARO have all that they needed? Or was it set up as another blue book from the start? I mean, was Congress so naive to think that it was going to be anything other than that? Or that they would actually accomplish something? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And that does it for today's episode. Short and sweet, I think. I don't know how long it took, but there wasn't a whole lot. And I don't know why I did a weekend show. I had some free time. Don't get used to it, though. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this over the weekends. I got stuff to do sometimes. Maybe. I don't know. Peace.